I'm Judith Matz. I'm a clinical social worker specializing in eating and weight issues. And I'm co-author of 2 books on the topic of eating and weight problems, The Diet Survivor's Handbook, 60 Lessons in Eating Acceptance and Self-Care, and Beyond a Shadow of a Diet, The Therapist's Guide to Treating Binge Eating Disorder, Compulsive Eating, and Emotional Overeating.
You had a question? And you're director of?
And I'm director of the Chicago Center for Overcoming Overeating.
What was the question I asked you that you said you know how to answer?
You asked me about what to do when a patient comes in and says they want a diet. And I think it's really important for healthcare providers to understand that dieting is the culturally prescribed solution for people who feel that they're at a weight higher than they should be, or who are struggling with overeating problems. And what healthcare providers need to understand is that even though diets are what are typically recommended, they actually trigger or sustain overeating. So that when a patient is asking about a diet, it means they're having some concern about eating and weight. And what you need to know as a health provider is to ask them about their relationship with food. Do they ever feel out of control with their eating? And how they feel about their body image. There's often an assumption that people, if they're at thinner or what are considered to be normal weights, that their relationship with food must be fine, and that's not necessarily the case. There's often an assumption that patients who are at higher weights must have some kind of issue, and that's not necessarily the case. So it's important to get to know each of your patients and find out how they experience their relationship with food.
That's awesome. You were right.
I told you.
What was the other thing we talked about? I'm sorry, I'm reading it.
Yes.
Does the obesity being labeled a disease impact your work at all, like obesity? Or is there anything you want to comment on that whole?
Obesity has recently been labeled as a disease by the AMA, and it's actually really disturbing to me as a therapist who treats eating and weight issues, because what the research shows is that if you just use obesity or BMI as a measure of health, you're wrong a significant amount of the time. And when I'm helping my patients to learn to take care of their bodies, if they're being labeled as having a disease, yet they're doing all the, I'm going to put in quotes, all the right things, the things they're told to do. They're eating a wide variety of foods. They're moving their bodies in ways that promote physical activity. I also talk about sleep patterns and managing stress. I like to teach my clients to meditate or do some kind of mindfulness practices. There are people who will do all those things and still may not lose weight into what's considered the normal weight category. And when they're told they're diseased, it creates a feeling of hopelessness. And it's inaccurate. Many of those people that I work with, despite the fact that many of my clients are at larger sizes, they go to the doctor and their blood pressure is fine, their cholesterol is fine, their blood sugar is fine. So the things that tend to be markers for disease aren't there. So we want the people who have, on the other hand, who do have high blood pressure or are showing signs of prediabetes, we want them to take action. And when we categorize everybody is ill, I think that's going to lead to inaction.
That is awesome. That's a vacuum.
That worked?
Yeah, but let me ask you to stop.
Because that beer is kind of...
That was awesome. No, that was perfect. I just hope you don't have to repeat it because of the vacuum.
I may have to pee first, but okay.
Yeah, we'll be done in 2 minutes. What was the other thing that we talked about?
You asked me one other question, but I don't remember.
But our primary goal with this whole piece is to say to those that provide medical care in all different fields why a health at every size approach is important and necessary.
Well, let me just talk for a minute then, and let me just give them shit, because...
Yeah, that's fine. So just...
Because it doesn't matter if I repeat myself, because you'll just edit in and out what you want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it is all going to be chopped up, coming in and out.
Okay.
People, different things.
So you just tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
As a therapist who treats eating and weight issues, it's very disturbing to see how many clients are, I don't like that. Wait, let me think for a moment. What I want to say. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just about everybody's heard that diets don't work, and everybody says, yeah, you're right, diets don't work. And at the same time, there's a tendency to tell clients, but yeah, lose a few pounds, or just focus on healthy eating and exercise with the assumption that people will lose weight. And I think that what's missing for healthcare providers is understanding that those kinds of messages actually trigger or sustain overeating in their patients. And it's important for health providers to know that when they're saying diets don't work, that there's actually an alternative. And that alternative falls under the rubric of health at every size. And as a therapist who treats eating problems, what I want you to know is that we can help clients reconnect with their natural signals for hunger and fullness. And really, that makes a difference. Instead of asking your patients, what can you do to lose weight? Ask them if they know when they're hungry. Ask them if they know when they're full. Let them know that it's okay to eat a wide variety of foods and to stop depriving themselves. And we're never wanting people to just eat anything. That would be irresponsible. But when people make decisions about what to eat in connection with their body, and ask themselves, what will truly nourish me? It turns out that people really like a wide variety of foods. Trust your patients. Let them relearn how to eat from the inside out instead of following external food plans. Because if you're in the medical profession and you've been telling your patients for years and years to lose weight, you know that you're saying the words. You know that your patients, if they're even listening at that point because they've heard it so many times, are leaving with the best of intentions. But people don't fail diets. Diets fail people, and there is an alternative.
I wanted to get one more thing. Can you address, and I don't know if this is kind of the question that started the last one, but I would love for you to address the notion that once you get right with your emotions and then the weight will magically fall off.
Okay, give me a moment to think how I want to simplify that.
All people that are fat are emotionally disturbed or have eating disorders.
Do you think it works for me to talk about my own part, like in my experience?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I'm being taped anyway.
Go ahead. Whenever, on your own time.
Okay. You know, as a therapist who treats eating and weight issues, one of the most important things for me to really learn was that people naturally come in all shapes and sizes. Because as a therapist, I was trained that once people really understood the reasons why they ate, for those clients who were emotional overeaters, that once they understood those issues and stopped overeating, they would lose the weight. And what I've learned over the years is that some people might, as a side effect of taking better care of themselves, but some people will not. And it's important for healthcare providers to really recognize and really mean it with their patients that people come in all shapes and sizes, and that a person's body size is not an indicator of their emotional state. And in fact, if you look at the research, studies show that people at higher weights have no different psychological makeups than people at lower weights. There are people at higher weights with anxiety and depression, and there are people at lower weights. And I'm going on too long.
No, but we got exactly
you got what you needed.
Thank you.
I was thinking of one other thing. Give me 1 second, because I have one other thing I wanted to say to those assholes out there.
I'll edit that out.
The beer's kicking
Okay,
in.
here we go. You know, did you tape all that?
It's okay. Don't worry.
Yes, I trust that you will. You know, as a therapist who treats eating and weight problems, one of the biggest issues I hear from my clients is they're terrified of going to their doctors. They are frightened that they'll be judged. They're frightened that their doctor won't understand. And one of the things they worry that won't be understood is that they really do have an eating problem that's beyond their control. It's not just a matter of willpower. And so they want their doctor to understand that they're working on normalizing their relationship with food, and they want to be treated at their current size with respect and with medical information that will improve whatever the issue is that they're coming in with.
That's perfect. Great. That's perfect. Awesome sauce. Thank
You
you
should
so
just
much.
drink a beer before.